What's up, everyone? It's Bench back once again for TILTID, talking about the things I like and things I don't in the world of Overwatch right now. This week, I'm going to discuss Overwatch League's trip to the Dallas Homestand, the announcement of the 2019 Overwatch World Cup, some news about contenders in 2020 that probably hasn't made its way to the public yet, and much more. Gaja, friends. I think it's safe to say that the first away weekend in Overwatch League history was a smashing success. It's difficult to offer up many sentiments that weren't already shared between League Commissioner Nate Nanzer and Dallas Fuel / Team Envy owner Hastro, but just a few additional thoughts about Dallas Fuel's homestand. Blizzard, League Ops, production, first and foremost, deserve a great deal of praise and respect for putting on a weekend production of that scale. Aside from a brief city power outage on Saturday morning, totally out of their hands by the way, the event ran flawlessly and provided top-level entertainment. I was a little worried initially when I saw the schedule of games for the weekend, but I thought in the end, teams like the Outlaws, especially in their match with the Fuel, stepped up to the occasion and made for a really exciting affair. Going forward, I'm now more cautiously optimistic for Overwatch League localization, with most uncertainty stemming from not knowing if this particular event actually tells us anything about full localization. For one, Dallas has arguably the biggest fan base of any Overwatch League team right now, and you can quote me in saying that most teams won't be able to consistently fill arenas even half that size over the course of a full regular season. In addition, the Dallas Homestand was the first regular season OWL match in history, which likely added to the hype surrounding the event and had media and fans traveling from afar to attend. Still, I can't imagine last weekend going any better for Overwatch League, owners Hastro and Ken Hirsch, and the Dallas Fuel. Given all of the extra money that Blizzard is now throwing into the new Contenders Showdown and Gauntlet tournaments, I think few expected we'd be seeing a World Cup in 2019. Blizzard did a really good job of keeping this one covered up, and I think most were really surprised to learn last week that we will be getting an Overwatch World Cup this year. I've never been much a fan of the event personally. I can't deny the excitement that comes about with the World Cup, but if we're being honest, the level of gameplay is really quite low, and last year's regional qualifiers had embarrassingly low parity. Even the timing of the event feels like it eclipses the Contenders competition at a pivotal time of year for players who are looking to get noticed by Overwatch League teams. Apart from the 2018 Korea qualifier, which included South Korea, Finland, and Russia, the other three events never felt like any more than two teams tops had a chance of advancing to BlizzCon 2018. So while the event may not be the most competitive Overwatch competition we've ever seen, you can't deny it's a hell of a lot of fun to get behind your country and favorite players. So at the end of the day, I'm genuinely happy that the World Cup is back because I know how much the Overwatch community really enjoys it. Speaking of the World Cup, the event is also really exciting from a community perspective. And we're already seeing big names from around the scene announcing their plans to run for various competition committee positions. The two big drawbacks this year are of course the announcement that players under 18 won't qualify, and teams who rank outside of the top 10 based on past results will have to pay their own way to get to BlizzCon. The latter has already led to many potential players and staff members stating publicly and on social media they aren't going to compete. If I may though, to the players, GMs, staff, and anyone else who might be looking to get involved, please still try and go through with the process right now. Go through with the trials and whatever other preliminary submission processes you are required to, and make the call on whether you'll actually attend further on down the road. Hear me out. This sucks. There's no getting around that. But I do think it's feasible to raise the additional money you'll need to offset the travel and lodging costs, whether through a Kickstarter campaign or streaming special team AMAs, community pugs with players, etc. This is still very much a possibility, and you don't want to lock yourself out of potentially getting to partake in the event at BlizzCon because of a spur-of-the-moment decision you made this early on. Also, for those competition committee members who do manage to pull the money together through any of those above means, just think about how attractive that commitment, work ethic, and success looks on your resume going forward when you're looking to advance further up the ladder and get involved with Academy or even OWL teams. You're behind the 8 ball now, but if you do manage to pull this off, that's a hell of an achievement and one that will most definitely follow you around. Overwatch Contenders is a popular community topic this week with playoffs for most regions in full swing. Apparently, the Tier 2 scene, and more specifically Academy teams, has also become a major talking point behind the scenes recently as well. It sounds very much like new rules being set by Overwatch League will begin to require that all Overwatch League teams field academy teams who will compete in contenders. While nothing has been announced yet, it appears the new rules could be put into effect as soon as the upcoming 2020 season. This means that teams like Vancouver, Washington, Houston, and the LA Valiant will, at some point between now and the start of the 2020 contenders calendar, be required to purchase or build out an academy roster. Sounds pretty hype, right? Well, stick with me here. The current NA contender season included 16 total teams split between 2 divisions, and 9 of those teams had academy status. Assuming Uprising gets its act together and requalifies, we're looking at 13 of 16 contenders teams in NA regions being of the academy variety in 2020, aka there's less room now for non-affiliated teams. Does adding more paid opportunities in the Tier 2 landscape help? Of course. Hell, maybe it even increases the parity of the league. But if it's not entirely obvious yet, non-affiliated teams, now more than ever, have proven they serve a very important role. These are pipeline teams who have no choice but to be good identifiers and developers of talent. When you have money to throw at players, you can more afford to focus your resources on improving your immediate roster and helping the players to prepare for upcoming matches, improve with VOD review, or one-on-one sessions. And when you need to fill a void or have a player getting called up to Overwatch League who you then need to replace, it's much easier to pick up talent from non-affiliated teams with the promise of paying them, right? Teams like Second Wind don't really have this option, and are instead required to spend more time casing different corners of the scene for talent. This, by the way, isn't a point about poaching. All I'm saying here is that non-affiliated teams fill a very critical role in the Overwatch Path to Pro system at the moment. There's of course a version of this news where fans of other Overwatch League teams without an affiliated contender squad should be excited about potentially now getting an academy team to support. And as I said before, there's an argument to be made that more academy teams could in theory result in better parity up and down the NA table. My one concern though is that this pushes out some of the grassroots teams who still don't seem to get the recognition they deserve for the oftentimes vital role they play. Disclosure up front, this is being recorded on Wednesday morning, so I have no way of knowing how the 2 NA Grand Finals turn out. But with all of that talk about parity in my previous point, how about 3 of Tuesday's 4 semifinal matches ending 3-2? Vlad's Legion pulled off an insane reverse sweep of likely favorites Mayhem Academy with huge performances from Bishu and Luddy. Fusion University stuck to their Map 5 script to fight off an impressive Montreal Rebellion side who looked like a brand new team behind Sharik. Then it took ATL Academy 6 maps, but the Reigns Academy squad finally shut the door on Meta Sky Foxes on Lijiang Tower and will now meet Team Envy in their final. I've been focusing a lot of content on the EU region lately, and for good reason, as I still think the best Team Overwatch is being played at the top of the Contenders EU table at the moment. But I'd be lying if I said that NA's semifinal round from Tuesday wasn't one of the most entertaining overall playoff rounds we've ever had in Contenders to this point. And if Glad's Fusion Uni and Envy ATL Academy isn't enough in terms of Grand Finals hype, don't forget that we're also getting a 3rd place match to decide who the 3rd and final NA team will be to represent the region at the Atlantic Showdown. Hey, maybe there is something to this 16-team thing after all. When was the last time where it felt like community confidence in the future of Overwatch was trending even slightly upward? New changes to the competitive ladder with, according to Slasher, possibly more exciting stuff on the way, a huge Overwatch League weekend in Dallas, less than a month away from the Atlantic and Pacific showdowns for contenders, and then there is of course the recent workshop feature, which has the community creating exciting new features, some with great utility like Hammer Kick and Mr. Pig's Easy Scrims, which is a mod that auto-manages scrim lobbies. There are a number of scoreboard mods that show some promise for a much requested feature from the community. We've had some silly modifications too, such as the interesting takes on Mario Kart with Hammond, Lucio, and Widow grapple racing. But my personal favorite has to be from @Darwin Streams, who created this cannon that fires homing Torbjorns. The biggest upside with all of this, however, is that many are now hopeful Blizzard could be changing the direction it handles the Overwatch IP. The developer has been notoriously against engaging third parties in almost every aspect of working with and around its IPs in the past. The workshop and other changes in the pipeline could be an indicator that that's all about to change. Keep your fingers crossed. Thanks so much once again for tuning into Tilted. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Elo Hell Esports YouTube channel and follow me on Twitter at BenchMobDC.